In this video, I'm going to share with you exactly what it feels like to donate plasma, and I also wanted to cover a couple frequently asked questions that I've gotten from different comments on my videos about donating plasma. And the first thing that I want to start with, just to clear this up, because the most frequent comment that I have gotten is something along the lines of, it's not donating if you're getting paid for it. And these different comments, some of them have been like, almost like a question, like, well, why do you call it donating if you're getting money for your plasma? And that's a fair question, but a lot of them are worded in such a way where it's almost like they're implying you're donating because you want the money, not because you're a good person. So stop making yourself sound like you're such a good person by using the word donating. Okay, the reason I use the word donating plasma is because that's what every single plasma center refers to the people that go in and give their plasma. We're donors. It's called donating plasma, and it's really not selling plasma, because if I could cut out the middleman of the plasma center and sell my plasma, I would be making way more money. They make so much money turning the plasma into life-saving medicine. So really the measly fees we get paid, if you want to use the word paid, is really just compensation for your time and the inconvenience of having a needle in your arm for almost an hour. So there's several reasons why the word donate works. Just to clear that up, okay, I'm not trying to make myself out as a hero. I do it for money, and I do it because it goes to a good cause, but you can look at that however you want. The definition of the word donate never says specifically that you couldn't be compensated for your time. So anyway, now that that's out of the way, I got a little worked up about it just because I keep getting those comments, and it's like, look, I'm not trying to look like a good person. I'm just creating informative videos about the process. So thank you for everybody watching that has genuine questions and comments. I appreciate interacting with you and providing hopefully useful information. And so to get started, I want to explain kind of what it feels like to donate plasma throughout the process. So to begin, as you know, maybe from other videos, you go into the plasma center, you have that first appointment where you go through paperwork and you have a physical. It's nothing too invasive. They just want to make sure you're in good health and able to donate plasma without doing any harm for yourself. One question actually that I wanted to answer that I saw in the comments, someone was asking about their veins and not having very prominent veins, their veins being too small. That's something that they're going to check. Is they're going to like wrap a little elastic thing around your arm and check your veins to make sure that they're adequate to actually have the needle. And that could actually create a pretty negative experience or feeling if your veins are really close to not working, because they may end up missing. They might have to stick you a couple times with the needle. Nobody wants that. That can cause a lot of bruising, and just obviously it's not fun to have a needle be put in you a couple different times. So that's something to consider. They're usually really good about telling you, I don't think your veins are quite where they should be for being a plasma donor. But once you're all good with that, the standard screening that you go through every time, you go into this little kiosk, and they'll take your temperature, they'll check your blood pressure, they'll weigh you, they'll do these different things, but they'll also prick your finger, which is never too fun. It's really not that bad. It's pretty quick, but they do that to check your hematocrit to see how much plasma you actually have, how well hydrated you are, make sure you have enough protein in your blood, things like that. And so it's just a quick little finger stick. They'll wrap you up with a Band-Aid. That's usually not terrible. I will say though, I've had some weird phlebotomists that instead of just the little thing, it's just like a little rectangle that has like a little needle that just pokes you real fast. And usually they can just press it on your finger and it'll just jab you real quick. I have this one guy, I've had him do it to me on a couple different occasions, and I dread every time I see him in the screening booth, because he won't just like press it and stick it. He'll like wind up and like jab it in my finger. I have no idea why, but that makes it hurt a lot worse, and it like bruises my finger for the rest of the week. I don't know if you've ever had like bruised fingertips. It's just a weird, gross feeling. I don't like it. So hopefully that doesn't happen to you. All that aside, you pass the screening. They bring you over to Donate Plasma. What they'll do is they'll sit you down, and as they verify your information and get the machine all hooked up and ready to go, they're going to put a what is it called? It's those blood pressure bands that like inflate and tighten around your arm. And that kind of helps with the blood flow and kind of signals to you when to squeeze to when the machine's actually drawing your blood out to centrifuge and then give you the red blood cells back once it's gotten the plasma. So they'll put that on you to begin with, and then they're going to put some like iodine or some sort of I think it is usually iodine, but to sanitize the area that the needle will be put in. That kind of feels weird sometimes because they have this big old Q-tip like swab thing that they rub it around in. I actually don't like that feeling very much where they're like rubbing over my vein. It just makes me uncomfortable a little bit. It's all worth it. Like for me, it's not that bad of an experience that it's not worth the compensation. And again, it does go to help people, and that's a really important thing. But once they've done that, they've sanitized it. Sometimes they even will take like a pen or something and just kind of poke the site that they inject the needle in normally, because that kind of, I think, makes it protrude, makes it a little more prominent, so it's easier for them to find exactly where they should stick the needle. I'll get a little closer too. You can kind of see my scar there. People have asked as well, like how long does the scar remain? And I don't know if I can get any closer for you. Sorry, the lighting's a little bright there, but how long does the scar remain? And like, what does it, look like? Is there any long-term damage or anything from it? I think the scar is pretty permanent, at least when you do it as much as I have. After several consistent donations, you're going to get a scar pretty quick. And it doesn't really bother me. I mean, you can see it pretty easily. I've noticed sometimes at certain angles it almost looks like an indent in my arm, which is kind of weird. There's no lasting pain that I've really felt from it. I mean, I think sometimes randomly out of nowhere, I guess I have kind of noticed a feeling there, but it's not been anything that's like bugged me. I don't know what else to really say about that. Sometimes the scar tissue is nice if you're going to be a common donor or a consistent donor, because when they actually put the needle in, when I've had really good phlebotomists, I haven't even felt it. Sometimes it's like, oh wow, they already got it in there and I didn't feel it. But yeah, I think you should do your research if you want to know about the long-term effects that donating plasma can have on your body and your veins and things like that. It's certainly draining, it's certainly taxing, and so it's important to look into that for yourself and determine if it's worth it. I know a lot of people have commented, in our country, we can only donate once every 2 weeks, and you're going twice a week? That's crazy. So it's probably not the healthiest thing in the world, and probably not a great thing to do consistently over a long time. But I mean, sometimes those first new donor bonuses can be worth it. But anyway, so we talked about the screening. We talked about getting the site of the needle disinfected. And we talked about a little bit about the actual insertion of the needle. That, I mean, it's maybe a little more prominent than a normal injection for like a vaccine. It's a bigger needle. It's 18 gauge, so you're probably going to notice it. I never look at it. I feel like if you are looking away and you're not thinking about it, you're probably not going to feel it or notice it as much. It's kind of weird, but once that's out of the way, like the initial insertion of the needle is the only time you should really feel it. They're going to ask you after they put it in how you feel, and if it feels okay. There might be some initial stinging that could come from the iodine, that residue that's still there. That might sting just a little bit. It shouldn't be uncomfortable, though, for much longer than, I don't know, a few seconds after they put the needle in. And so it's important that you let them know how it feels. They may be able to adjust the needle slightly to fix it if it doesn't feel very comfortable. I don't like it if they have to adjust the needle, so I usually try to tough it out, or just hope that it feels okay enough to just get through the process. And usually once again, once the needle's been there a while, you've started donating it, it doesn't, hurt too much, or it doesn't feel weird. There is kind of a constant pressure there. So the thing on your arm that inflates and deflates that signals you when to pump and when not to pump your arm for the cycle, that's one pressure. That's not a big deal. It's not uncomfortable at all. Sometimes I do feel a pressure where the needle is, which can be sometimes uncomfortable when you're pumping your arm all the time. And they used to give you something to hold on to, like a stress ball or a PVC pipe to squeeze. They don't anymore because of COVID. You can bring your own thing if you want to. I think that's helpful because a lot of times I feel like my forearm gets really tight just squeezing, and it's nice to have something to kind of help you with that, because that can be really uncomfortable when your arm is just really tight, but you're trying to keep squeezing so that you can successfully get through the donation. So that's sometimes not fun. Other than that, though, it's pretty straightforward through to the end. What can happen, a lot of people that are new donors or haven't hydrated properly, maybe didn't get a lot of sleep the night before, maybe didn't eat well enough before. Some of the negative things that can happen that are common, because this happens to me every once in a while when I donate, is you can start to feel like you're going to pass out. Some people they pass out like real quick, and I'm not one of those people, fortunately, but at the same time, it's a really gross feeling when I'm slowly like getting there. It kind of starts with like lightheadedness and almost like cold sweats, because I'm definitely not warm when I'm donating plasma. It's just kind of like my heart speeds up a little bit is sort of what it feels like. And when it starts to get bad, it's like, a little bit of nausea. Things start to even sound like I'm underwater, like my vision kind of goes gradually. Like that's when I'm getting close to passing out. I've never actually passed out. I always just raise my hand, tell them I'm not feeling good. They'll slow the machine down. They'll get ice packs and elevate my feet, give me a Powerade. They'll help you out if that ever happens. But when it does, it's really not fun. It's really not comfortable, and I hate it. I've taken a break from plasma a few times just because I don't want to experience that again. So something to consider. If you prepare well, if you do what they say, it's not likely that, that'll happen. But if you're a new donor and your body's never experienced it before, I mean, who's to say? It could just be a natural reaction to that kind of process. It's kind of a weird thing. So something to keep in mind once again. And then at the very end, they pull out the needle. They'll put like a little gauze pad down over the needle and have you hold it. Don't press down. I'm kind of an idiot. So like for the longest time when they put the gauze down, I'd like press it on the needle. I never like injured myself, but it's obviously kind of uncomfortable to be pressing gauze down on top of a needle that's in your arm. Again, I'm kind of an idiot, but eventually I just realized, I just have to hold it there. As soon as they pull it out, then I press down. Duh. And that's obviously just to make sure you don't start bleeding everywhere. So you hold that down. The taking the needle out to me kind of feels similar to when they put the needle in, but it's quicker. Then they'll just wrap you up with some of the stretchy ace bandage, whatever they're called, to keep that gauze there. And then you're done. I did miss one thing. So the last return, donating plasma or plasmapheresis, whatever it's called, when they take all your blood out, or not all your blood, they take a bit of your blood out, centrifuge it, the plasma is separated, the red blood cells come back in. That's it's a cycle that this happens in. So a return is when your red blood cells are coming back. On the last return, you'll not only get your red blood cells, but you'll get a good amount of saline to replace the plasma that was taken. That's to help you with your hydration and how you feel afterward, because there was a time that there was a saline shortage when I was a new donor, and they just give you a Powerade instead. It was a lot harder to stand up and walk out of the center after that because I lost a lot of fluid and it wasn't replaced immediately. They do that now, which is good. So you don't have to wait 5 minutes before you stand up anymore. But the saline is at room temperature. So your body is obviously like 98.6 degrees. When saline at room temperature comes in your arm, it can feel really cold, which is weird to have like a cold feeling spreading through your arm and then kind of through your body. The plasma centers usually aren't that warm to begin with, so it might be a good idea to bring like a blanket or a coat or something to drape over you. Obviously you need to have short sleeves so that they can get the needle in, but that's another kind of weird feeling. It's really not that uncomfortable. You get used to it. It's just odd. So that's kind of it for what it feels like to donate plasma. I'll answer a couple questions real quick that I've seen in the comments. So one of them is, do you lose weight when you donate plasma? Besides water or like fluid weight? Well, not really, because it's replaced with saline. So you shouldn't. And they weigh you every time before you donate, and they're actually looking for weird fluctuations in weight that aren't explained. So I don't know if there's actually some weird side effect to donating plasma where you could lose weight. Again, they're checking for that, but as far as I'm concerned or aware, I don't think that can actually happen. It hasn't happened to me, and I've donated quite a lot. Another question that I've seen is there a limit on how long I can be a plasma donor? As far as I am aware, there isn't. As long as you remain in good health. Obviously, listen to your body. If your body is really not feeling good as a result of donating plasma, it's probably not worth it. And on this channel, I'm hoping to make other videos about other kind of side hustles or things you can do to supplement your income. There are other options out there. Donating plasma is pretty convenient if you can tolerate the feelings and the process that go along with it. But I have donated plasma hundreds of times over several years. I haven't been super consistent, but I have gone several months straight donating twice a week before, and I've been okay. So I don't know. It's just listening to your body. I think it's going to be very different for each person, but I don't think they have a general rule where it's like, okay, you've donated this much, you can never go again. They'll always be checking your plasma though and looking for signs of things that might indicate you might not be in good health. Go get checked by a doctor before you can come donate. That's called being deferred. So that's all I know about that. The most you can go is twice a week and once every 48 hours. So I usually go Monday, Wednesday. And that's the most you can go. Definitely do not, and they ask you this and we'll make sure of this, but you're definitely not allowed. It may even be illegal to go to 2 different centers at once. That would be insane and really dumb, really bad for your body. Also, like I said, other countries only allow people to donate every 2 weeks. So going more than twice a week, probably really bad. Don't do that. Okay, and then the last question I wanted to go over was, how long does the donation process take? I think it depends on the center. It depends on how busy you are. I'm actually going to change the plasma center that I go to, and I'm going to make a video on that, why I'm doing that. But at the center that I've been going to for a long time, it's in a college town, so it's very, very, very busy. And the wait time adds like an extra 30 to 45 minutes to my donation, which is really unfortunate because if you're looking at how much you're making per hour, obviously that lessens that amount quite a bit. Generally though, if it's pretty straightforward, you can fill out the questionnaire that you do right when you get there just to make sure you're still in good health and there's not any red flags immediately from your activity that would prevent you from donating plasma. Get through the screening process with the finger prick and everything in like 10-15 minutes. It might take them a second to actually get you on a bed hooked up to a machine. But that usually takes me 50 to 55 minutes, and I'm in the highest weight class. I think the highest threshold is 175 pounds, 180 pounds. If you're that or heavier, you're going to donate the most plasma. For me, in that highest weight class, it takes about 50 to 55 minutes hooked up to the machine to totally donate. So I think that maybe at your fastest time, again, depending on your weight, depending on how long it takes because of the amount of plasma you're donating, it's going to take you probably at least an hour, but I would probably count on an hour and a half. I think an hour and a half is a pretty safe estimate of how long it's going to take. So thank you so much for watching. I hope this was informative. Sorry, I'm long-winded. I know this was a longer video than a lot of the videos I've made in the past. But I do hope that it provided good information for you so that you can make a better decision as to whether or not you want to actually go and donate plasma. At the end of the day, it is for a good cause. It is used for really good things, for helping people that desperately need life-saving medicine that can be derived from your plasma. So if you're wondering whether or not you should do it, maybe that's the factor that helps you to make the leap of faith there. But there can also be really good compensation, and it's not a bad idea to kind of shop around and see what bonuses plasma centers are offering at the time. But again, thanks for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and we'll see you next time.